Ladies and gentlemen, after 2 weeks out of the studio, the boys are back. Well, not all the boys, but at least we have all the way in from somewhere in Ireland. We have Big D looking wonderful in, I don't know, a knockoff Celtic t shirt or whatever that may be. And of course, you have Neil Hinder, always giving us a wonderful perspective. How you guys doing? I'll start with Neil. How have you been? Long time no see, no hear.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good to be back, right? And all the pretty ones are here, yeah.
Yeah, of course, all the pretty ones are here. Not the handsome ones, just the pretty ones. Big D, what's going on? How's it going in wonderful Ireland?
Yeah, I'm good. God, in my knockoff Celtic shirt,
Well, okay, good
which
man.
you might find out what it is at some stage of the episode, but not quite yet.
Ooh, mystery,
So it's
mystery.
challenge.
Well, people, we are back, and of course, we're here to give you our wonderful opinions. At this moment in time, if you like what you hear, what you see, please follow, hit that notification button, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and every other thing you can find Grassroots Chats on. And of course, our website, grassrootschats.com. All right, we're going to start. It's been a break, but it's the same old football talk. Same old football talk. It is fair to say, following the wonderful result at Old Trafford yesterday, that Man United is truly out of the top four running. Big D, let's start with you.
It's looking like it, isn't it? What was their last win? Was it the Spurs game? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd say we remember we had this discussion with Mike, and I think it was me who was saying Arsenal are not safe in the top four because Spurs are coming for them, and they just hammered Newcastle 5-1. So it's looking like Man United are, I'd say at this stage I'm going to call them out. I mean, they could always turn it around, but on current form, it's not looking very likely. It's looking like Spurs and Arsenal are going to fight it out, and maybe Chelsea will do their best to let someone slip into third place.
Well, we never know. We never know. Neil, Big D talks about calling Man United out. I've called Man United out a long time ago. I mean, at this stage, I'm sure it's fair to say it would be a miracle if Man United finish top four. Neil,
Yeah, 2 seconds a minute. Sorry, I was just looking down the table to see where they were.
that is just terrible. That is just wrong. We're back, and these people are beginning to attack my wonderful United team.
Seventh at the moment, right? For the table, my eyes did not deceive me. So
No.
almost out of Europa League as well.
Of course.
I don't count them out. I still don't count them out. You still got Ronaldo. As long as his back can hold up to carry the team, that's all he needs to do is carry him to the end of the season, right? You're out of the Champions League now.
Out of Champions League, out of everything, just trying to get top four, which doesn't look likely.
Just concentrating on the league, right? And finally looking for a manager. So yeah, I still think you've got a chance. It's a small chance. Arsenal might slip up. Spurs do look decent, but yeah, you can't rule as much as I hate to say it, you still can't rule United out. It's still mathematically possible. When they're like 15 points behind Newcastle one season when they won the league. So I think that you can't quite rule them out. I to say you can.
Like it. I like it when people try and, Neil, you've called this out a million times that people keep looking at Man United like it's the old Man United. Looking at the season, the performances have been terrible. Not played a lot of good football. They've had patches here and there. People are always trying to bring out different reasons as what may be the problem. Oh, the managers, player accountability. Rashford wants to leave, off and on. Whatever the situation is, the truth of the matter is, Man United is not playing good enough to make top four. If they do, it has to be a very serious case of all the other teams just fall apart. Big D, Neil says, Arsenal may slip up. Do you see Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham slipping up at the same time?
Not enough for Man U to catch up. No. Neil says you can't write them off. I'm writing them off right here, right now. This episode, make a note of it. I'm writing them off. For them to get top four now, Arsenal and Spurs have got to be dropping points like crazy, and Man United have got to be picking them up like crazy. Like that, that's not going to happen.
Okay, so mathematically, it's still possible, but we've called out the performances. Neil, I like how you mentioned that they're finally looking for a new manager. Well, all the story points to the Ajax manager, Den Haag. But somebody asked the question: a very good question. Do you think just a good manager is good enough to save what's happening at Man United? Because people keep mentioning what's happening at the top. Is it enough for a good manager to come in and change everything, or at least make everything on the pitch so wonderful that people forget about what's happening at the top? That's for you, Neil.
Yeah, that's fine. There's two thoughts to that process. One, a good manager will make it the whole world of difference, right? And if it's really good, he will make that much difference that no one will care about the off field. However, the major problem that United will have is if they don't bring somebody in with stature, with that kind of presence, and the full back in, then we're going to be in the situation that we're currently in. So I think they need to go all in, literally balls deep in with 100% trust. With you've got the reins, whatever you want, we're going to do. If you want to bring X, Y, and Z, you need to be backed. They're your players. It's your way. Obviously, to still like the Man United ethos, right? I don't think they're going to get somebody in that doesn't have that respect for the tradition for the club. But if they can follow that as the ground, and then the manager has that presence to do the rest, I think that would work really, really well. At the moment, they're in no man's land with anything they've kind of done for the last period. They don't give enough trust to the managers. And that's not to say that they've either been good enough or not, but you have to give them everything and go, right, we're going to support you. It's no point of going, oh, we've given you that player. That was what you wanted. Like, it needs to be everything. And they need to be in, and they need to be invested. And I think if they get invested and everybody gets on board and the brand of United, etc., then yeah. But it has to be from top to bottom of, right, this is the man. Let's just get on board him. However long that is, if it's a 3-year, 5-year process, they have to go through with it and they have to see it out. Granted, if they're 19th in the league or 18th in the league, you sack them still because that has to be done because it's still United. But if they're teetering around where they are at the moment, they have to just trust that process and go with that project. And I think that's the problem that you have. I know that Ferguson was there for so long and he had so many different projects, but every time he rebuilt that squad, and he did rebuild the squad quite a few times, right? That kind of still needs to come back in. And at the moment, you've got a lot of good players on paper. Like they've done bits where they've been. I'm like, Jadon Sancho hasn't had 2 good games all season.
No, he has. Come on, he has gone from being
Come on,
people
Dunk, back me
questioning.
up here, right?
No, come on. His last at least his last 7 games, he's looking like the Sancho that everybody knows he could be.
Yeah.
Well, what games have you been watching, man? Sancho has been looking fly. He was player of the month last month. He was looking.
I mean, I hate
good.
to say it, but I would be player of the month in that United squad. It's not something that you go, oh yeah. I remember like being a Wednesday fan, like I think we'd lost like 4 games and they were given a player of the month and everyone was like, no, you've got to give it to the fans for back in the club, right? And that's what needs to happen.
So,
Player of the
let me
month
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Big D, the same question will come for you. Do you think it is smart that it looks like all eggs are going into one basket and it's looking like every single managerial arrow is pointing towards the Ajax manager? Do you think that is a smart move?
Yeah, 100%. You've got whoever the man is, right? And I don't. To me, it doesn't matter who it is, but whoever it is, it has to be with conviction. And we want you. It's not like, oh, we've got a choice of 3 and we're interviewed. Man United aren't a shop or a company looking for a new sales manager to come in or something, right? They're looking for a manager with pedigree who's top or close to top of his game that could only do better for the club. If they're interviewing for that, to me, it seems a little bit weird that you'd have a shortlist. Like you have that man. If it doesn't work out for some reason and he makes a monumental cock up in an interview and he says something really, really random, like I'm only going to sign players with 2 left feet and that's all I'm going to think, fine. But they're looking at top managers. So they have to go in and make that like you would do with a player, make that conviction, make that sign and own it. This is our man. Celebrate that. Like, here is our savior, our Messiah. We wanted this person, not we weren't really sure, but this person decided to stay where he wants. So we got this person. It has to be.
So, okay. So you think it has to be. All right, Big D, what do you think? Do you back that up? Do you think, no, you could have a short list, give other managers hope or, interview 3 or 4 top candidates?
Yeah, I disagree. I think you do have to interview at least 2 or 3 candidates for the job. It's a lot of press noise anyway, isn't it? Like, you can never really fully trust what they're saying in the press. If I had to put on money on it now, I would say they're going to go Pochettino rather than Ten Hag.
Well, if this happens, let's just say this is an exclusive. Big D brings an exclusive to Grassroots Chats. We shall see what happens. Okay,
It's the second exclusive.
Second
The first
exclusive.
exclusive was Man United are out the top four. So.
I thought I was the one making predictions with my crystal ball, but it seems
used
Duncan's
to be,
taken it.
It used to be Duncan's taking it. Okay, let's talk about some situations that actually happened in the game. First of all, Leicester played really well, did exactly what they had to do. Man United didn't really seem like. I mean, there was only one chance on target the first half. Well, Leicester played really well. Maddison, wonderful. Once again, it always brings back the conversation of why he's not in the England squad, but that's a different conversation. But now, the major talking point for that game, Kelechi Iheanacho's foul on Varane. Foul or no foul, Big D?
Oh yeah, definitely a foul when you looked at it in slow motion. He basically leg swept him. He performed a judo move. So whether it was intentional or not, you could see in the replay, swept his leg away from him. He just took his feet and he lost his balance. So I agree with the foul there, and they disallowed the goal.
Well, then, because I mean, during the game, Mike sent me a message saying there was no way that was a foul, and he thinks that Varane, overreacted. What do you think, Neil?
Veranda obviously overreacted, because if he'd been tapped, he would have acted like he'd been shot. So there's no doubt. But I mean, and I don't just mean that's just Varane. That's just Premier League footballers all over at the moment. Defenders taking dives, it seems, not just attackers anymore, which is a sad state of the game. But yeah, it was probably was a foul. Is it a little bit harsh on Leicester? Obviously. Did I want it to be? No. I would have loved the goal to have stood and then been sitting here going, this is going to be a fun day. And then Mike would have been here as well. I think everyone would have turned up for that one.
Everyone would have turned up for that one. Well, it was a good showing. I think, I mean, once again, I said it and I've been saying it. I don't think Man United have finished top four. Performances have been anything. And Leicester came to Old Trafford and pretty much played like, this is normal. We come here all the time and we get points. I mean, lastly on that game was, I think a lot of the booing that actually happened to Maguire when he played for England actually came back to Old Trafford. Now, is it right? Should fans, I can understand fans saying, oh, he doesn't justify his selection for being in the England squad, but why would you boo your own captain? And, he actually had a good game on Saturday. What do you guys think? Boo or not to boo? That is the question. Big D?
Is this for the England game, is it?
No, for Man United game.
For Man United. Fans have the right to express their opinion, so I'd say, like, it's fair enough. It's up to them whether you agree with it or disagree with it. They've definitely got the right to air that opinion. So, I mean, over the course of the season, he's had some shockers. So again, like they're just voicing their.
Look at Neil smiling and going, yes, they do. Keep booing.
They're entitled to voice that, and it's like, people getting a bit overly upset about simple things like that.
Of course, Neil, I'm sure you agree with the fans and you agree with what Big D just said.
It's just a classless club. Booing your own, absolute classless, regardless if it's right or wrong, right? It's classless. You don't boo your own unless they're absolutely getting trounced. I think they've been patient with Maguire. I think the fans, it's a hard one, right? He came in as the saviour of the defence, £75 million or whatever it was. Like, he's no Rio Ferdinand, is he? Like that. And he doesn't even defend better than you would say. If he defended better than Rio, you'd be happy with it. But he doesn't have the ball skills. He doesn't have the passing ability, and he can't defend. So there's a triple whammy there. I think the fans have a right to boo because they've been patient enough, as I say. I think that he never helped himself, right? When he did that stupid celebration, yeah, for the I mean, come on, man, you're a centre back as well. Like he hasn't helped himself. Could he have helped himself? Yes, he should have completely stayed off social media. Tried to rally the players. Tried to have been an authority figure on the pitch. At least brought everybody around and huddled. He could have made it look like he was doing a lot more than he has been doing, and actually go, you know what, I have mucked up. But we're a team, we're going to unite and we're going to do this, that, but none of that's happened. So I think everyone's just been a bit like, mate, you're just shit. and we're just going to tell you you're crap because we've had enough of you. And let's be honest, any other time. So in my life, they have never had such a poor defender, right? Never.
Come on, Titus Bramble. Come on, man.
No, never. Never
Come
had
on,
such a
man.
poor centre back.
No.
Never had such a poor centre back.
I mean, there's
Even
loads,
Johnny
man.
O'Shea's still playing. But the important thing with that game, like Wes Brown, I mean, like the important thing of that game, and I think that it shows there's no control from United, right? They're not even dominating the possession at home. So even if it's sideways passing it and just making sure that they're pressing and keeping the ball, there's not that. So that's a key element missing. They're having the same amount of shots as the other team. So there's a whole. The stats don't lie from that side of things, and I think that's probably a shame. If United had come out with 70% of the ball or 75% and look comfortable, and maybe it was just a lucky goal, I think most people would say, you know what, it's a bit better. But it seems like United are just another team in the Premier League currently. With no, there's going to Old Trafford is nothing now. Like
Yep.
no one cares. No one goes, oh shit, United at
The
home.
fear factor is definitely gone. People just go there and say, you know what, these guys are good for the taking, and we have a massive crowd to actually watch us wipe them on their home turf. Well, it's end of days for Man United. I actually feel the performance is a good notification of where we are. Sitting seventh, but mathematically still possible, and who knows, we shall see what happens. Sticking to the top four is, for some reason, the rejuvenated Tottenham Hotspurs. They're looking like fixture-wise, and looking like the way they actually beat Newcastle today. I mean, they could be finishing in the fourth position. What do you think, Big D?
Yeah, I was calling this the other week. They, apart from the loss to Man U, they've won 5 of their last 6. So they're on a good streak. So again, Arsenal are on a good streak as well. But Spurs are on a good streak. They're getting some quite convincing victories along the way as well. They're all firing. Kane and Son obviously doing their thing as business as usual. 5 today, 5 different scorers, was it? None of them Kane. So they're looking good. So that's going to come down to that game, Spurs versus Arsenal. And again, if I had to put money on that right now, I'm putting my money on Spurs. I've got no dog in that fight, but I think Spurs are coming on a bit hotter than Arsenal at the minute.
So, would you say, Neil, that say Spurs finish fourth, keeping Harry Kane, getting rid of Nuno, Conte coming in, accepting going out of Europe, and then finishing fourth? Definitely, that's a successful season for Tottenham. Yes.
Semi successful. Yeah, semi successful.
How? How?
Well, I mean, look, just because you're a trophyless club, I think you need to think of where these guys are pitching, right? Would they wanted a better run in Europe? If they were comfortably fourth or battling for third and came fourth, then that's fine.
I mean, they could still finish third.
I mean, they could still win the league mathematically, but they're not going to. So, will Spurs be in the better position at the end of the season than they were? Yeah, Dele Alli's gone. So regardless of anything else, right, they've got rid of that. They've got Conte in, who wears his heart on his sleeve. He's passionate, and he shows you what the type of manager that you want. You want that type of person at your club. You want the heart on the sleeve. If you're losing and it's not going well, you should be upset because that's what desire and power. We all played football and like football because it's a fun game, and when we lose, we get upset about it, right? And want to rectify that by winning, and that's passion, and that's just human nature, and that's what should be there. They played very well today. They are on form, but they do have a very, very good manager who has a winning mentality and won't take anything less than a winning mentality from his players. An arm round them as a cuddle, maybe, but he wants to win. And if that's a kick up the arse, he will give him a kick up the arse, not just a pat on the back and you had a bad game.
So yes or no, successful season if they finish fourth or not?
No, I've just said no. Semi-successful because they would have wanted more at the beginning of the season. Will they be happy with fourth?
What do you wanted more? Like what? Third, second? Because
I think they want. And
you can't tell me they were going for winning the league.
FA Cup win, so a cup and fourth is a good season for anybody, right, outside the
Yep.
top two. And I think that's what anyone should be aspiring to in that. And maybe a decent European run where you get to the semis. It wasn't like, and I think that's kind of where they want to be. If you win a trophy and come fourth, I think that's a good season. I mean, the League Cup's not so great. You can't count the Charity Shield either. But if you definitely, you're winning stuff, the fans are happy. A trip to Wembley, that's a nice season. But you can't just become fourth every season and not win anything, because that's not acceptable either. Just to
Well,
get in the money in.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. I mean, for a club, if you're not consistently finishing fourth and then you start finishing fourth and not winning anything, I mean, initially it would be looked at as okay, at least we're consistent, but then the fans will be itching for a cup, as you say. However, Big D, looking at Tottenham's fixture list, they have Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, Leicester. Leicester before Liverpool. I mean, you've already put your money that they will finish fourth, and you think it'll go down the wire with when they actually play Arsenal. So, do you not see? I mean, since your money is going on Tottenham, you don't see Arsenal maintaining their form. I mean, they haven't played this. They haven't played yet, as of the time this podcast is out. But you think it'll go down to the wire?
Yeah, I think it'll go down to the wire. Arsenal still have those 2 games in hand, so they do have to slip up at least a couple of times for Spurs to overtake them. So again, I can see Spurs beating them. Is that at White Hart Lane?
Yes, it is.
Or whatever the new stadium's called. So yeah, I could see Spurs taking the win there. I think when we were going through fixtures before, I don't think Crystal Palace is a totally easy game. I think they're away to Palace, are they?
Yeah, away to Palace. Away
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Palace today.
So I'm not going to be surprised if that's a draw. But again, they can win that one. But yeah, I'm just going for Spurs with that running, and they've just got things together. Things are going right at the club, like Neil said. With Conte's obviously got them firing, and things are working out at the minute.
Well, since I'm throwing all the success questions to Neil, I'll ask you this again. Arsenal finishes fourth this season. Obviously, that's a successful season because that's what they actually went. That's what they set out to do this season, right?
Yeah, job done, right? All of their eggs went in that one basket this season. Knocked themselves early out of all the cups, relatively. There was no Europe. Cementing a team, getting the right tactics across, and probably playing less games and having more training time has been pivotal to that this season for Arsenal. I think that shows on the pitch. I think the fact that they're even there or thereabouts is a credit to Arteta and that young team. I think that's showing that you don't need to go and spend $100 million on a winger to have the success when you can bring your own through from a decent academy system, right?
Yeah,
That's
right. I wonder. I wonder who you're talking about when you talk about 100 million for a winger. I wonder who. I just wonder what team he's talking about. But let me ask you this: let's Tottenham are doing well. We'll see what happens in the next couple of games. We're going football crazy from now till the next couple of weeks. Now, moving on to the wonderful bridge. Dunk, do you think the off-field events is affecting Chelsea or beginning to affect Chelsea, or is this just one of those games that it's one of those things that happens as the season unfolds? Brentford going to the bridge and pretty much stomping, thumping, trashing Chelsea 4-1 at home. Do you actually see Chelsea slipping up and losing third spot? Because I mean, for a while, everybody has just thought third spot is theirs to keep.
Uh, I don't know. Again, that's a one-off result. They can happen. So we don't know. Things don't look like they've been going too great at Chelsea. Even when they're winning, they're not looking amazing, grinding out results here and there. So I'd say probably the events are affecting them a bit in some way. But yeah, they got smashed by Brentford, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. And Rudiger banged that goal in, which was very nice. And then Brentford's goals, they were all in the second half, were they? Or they?
Yep, it was a different second half, and of course Neil Eriksson looking wonderful. I mean, it shows what one player can do in a team, contributing, making them look very fluent. Surely, all they need to do now is stay in the league this season, buy a few good germs like that, and then they should be good to go.
I mean, Brentford, Ericsson won't stay after this season anyway.
Why? Why do you think that?
He's only got a contract to the summer.
Yeah, they could extend it.
Yeah, but they could do. But someone else come in for him, and why would you not when he's still banging in? Where would you play?
Well,
Brentford
first of
or
all,
someone else?
I think he will have some sort of loyalty to Brentford.
Yeah.
I think because they gave him a chance. He can't go back to Italy,
No.
and I don't think any of the big boys in Spain will take him. So I think he might probably stay. Where do you think?
Newcastle. Newcastle.
Well, I mean, the money might be better, might be a bit more cold, but yeah, I mean, well, you never know. But Newcastle, would they need him?
Who wouldn't need him? I think taking Ericsson aside, and I think this is the worst thing for Brentford, in my opinion. They've done really well without him, and when he's come in, he's helped out that team just to get that to another level. So even if he helps out the players and shows them what to do and to help them, they're only going to get better playing with better quality players, and he is head and shoulders above what they existingly had. But they were doing all right before him, right? That result against
Nah, but the
Chelsea,
results started dropping, and then he comes
yeah,
in, and then he comes in at the same time
obviously.
that Tony decided to get some form after finally. I don't know if he got the chick, but you know, he's looking all nice. Everything seems sweet. The Brentford.
They were doing, as I say, they were doing fine before. He has helped them out. I mean, their form was dipping, but who doesn't dip every now and again, eh? Seventh in the league. So everybody's form can dip, and having a player like that, why would United not want him, right? A creative midfielder player
Come on,
could be helpful.
Let's. I mean, I know how you like to attack and punch and swing.
Pogba's off.
Big punches. Well, oh yeah, that's true.
Ericsson would walk into that United team.
Of course, you would say that. Okay, Ericsson. Well, you know the funny thing is, I'm trying to argue it, but it actually looks very likely.
Like don't forget with Ericsson, he won the league title in Italy. The last season he played, club season, was with Inter Milan.
He's won more than Maguire, is what you're saying.
Maguire hasn't played in Italy. Well,
I think that gets. So let's go back to the Chelsea. Let's stop attacking United for a minute. The Chelsea Brentford game was a weird one. There was like a funny 15-minute spell on that game where Chelsea didn't know what was going on. They literally looked like they'd been hit by a car. Everything went to pot. They must have had chips and fish for lunch or something really stodgy and heavy, and came out and was like, "I've got no idea." And Brentford were on the Haribos and came out, "Woo, woo," and then literally goals went in, goals, and it was just funny, right? Everyone was laughing again. How has this happened to Chelsea at home? If the off-field antics are affecting the players, like, I don't know what maturity level these players have got on 100, 200, 300 grand a week. But if they can't put the fact that the club is having bids, and we're talking of being bidded for, right? We're not talking of that anyone is thinking Chelsea are going out of business, and that's affecting them. Well, either they're really, really good friends with Putin or Abramovich, or they're just really mentally imbalanced. So I would just put it down to they all had too good of a time in international break, enjoyed their football too much, came back, realised Lukaku wasn't playing yet again for them and not working as an asset. They're already 3-1 down at that point, and then they bring on Lukaku. And yeah, that's one of those one-offs, right? That's never going to happen again.
Well,
that 4-1. Never.
Let's call it the one off, but at least it happened, and then Brentford is looking like they're not going to struggle, because I remember we had pretty much said they'll probably drop down and go into the fight. I mean, there's still time, still 9 games to go. What's the story about the Ricketts family? Why are the Chelsea fans not looking like they want to accept them as new owners? Any ideas, Big D?
I've got no idea unless there's something behind the scenes there. Yeah, at this stage, I would say beggars can't be choosers for the Chelsea supporters. Like that deal needs to go through quick. I don't know. Maybe they've seen. Maybe it could be parallels to Man U. They've seen the Glazers, American owners. I don't know, but it's kind of worked out at Liverpool. So I'm not really entirely sure what the agenda is there behind the scenes.
Any ideas, Neil?
Bigotry, evidently. I haven't looked into whether they are or are not. I assume it says that there's some form of Islamophobia 3 years ago. Tweets were made. I think that was one of the cases. Your club's going out of business. You've got people wanting to buy it. Like, if you've got 3 people, you'll pick the holier ones. They don't want to be in another situation where they've got to sell the club because the owners aren't quite fit and proper. I get it. They have favourites who they want. And I just want the Premier League to do their jobs properly this time.
This
And
time.
whoever's coming in, right? And in
Mhm.
the future, this has got to be the benchmark of anyone to come in new of, are you fit and proper? Right, and how's it going to work? This wouldn't have happened unless the government had made sanctions. Let's not forget that. The government made sanctions on Abramovich. It wasn't the Premier League outwardly looking to do this before the Ukraine war had happened. So
Yep.
the Premier League needs to get a house in order yet again. The dazzling cash of the football and the more money that they'll get will be swayed upon heavily. But I would like to see football become a little bit less political, so we can just enjoy the game. I couldn't give a rest. Let's just get people that are normal, right?
You couldn't give. Well, we shall see. Hopefully, it stays out of the politics and things just
That's what we
go how
want,
they
right?
should be, and that's all that we want. Well, Chelsea, we should see what happens. There's a deadline. What, April? What, 11th? There's a deadline, so we shall see what happens
Well,
and
that's
who
going to be
becomes the new
extended
owners.
again, though, isn't it?
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
It'll
We
be on
shall
there for
see.
next 10 years. They'll be trying to shift this club for.
So yeah, so mathematically, Chelsea could be overtaking the third spot. And talking about one of the contenders for top 4 is probably West Ham beating Everton today, and looking like, if anybody decides that they want to slip up, they could just jump in there. Mathematically, still possible, but footbally, if there's such a word, Dunk, do you actually think they can, jump in right in?
No, I think I said a couple of weeks ago. I think West Ham have slipped a bit too far. They're kind of like hanging on the coattails, but again, you need Arsenal and Spurs to slip up, and they're not both going to slip up so bad that West Ham come in. What can you tell me how many West Ham have played? Is it 30 or 31?
West Ham have played 31.
Yeah. So they've played Arsenal 28, aren't they, until their game, and Spurs are 30. So
Yep.
they
Play 31, same points as Man United, 51 points. Man United has a game in hand. But you never know. Anything could happen mathematically. They could just get some last, run of form and trash everybody they play and people to stop. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. The top 4 is looking hot, looking nice. Um, Arsenal are yet to play. So when they do play, if they don't win, then that will be another wonderful twist, because then they'll have one game in hand, and it will really boil down to their game against Tottenham. I mean, looking at the team Everton played, looking at the team West Ham played, which is Everton, and of course Frank Lampard coming out to say Everton need more quality and they need a whole lot of other things. I mean, we've spoken about this countless times. We know what the issue is. Looking at the bottom of the table, though, I do think it's just probably going to stay the way it is with Everton, Watford, Burnley. Even if Burnley have to play 28 games, Everton has played 28 games as well. And of course, Norwich is going down. Do you guys see any changes happening, or do you think Burnley might just be able to try and tap Everton on the shoulder? Dunk?
that's midweek, isn't it? Burnley, Everton. Like Everton will be sweating for that one. That's a big game for them to make sure they stay ahead of the pack. Again, yeah, they're all in bad form. I could possibly see Burnley maybe getting one over on Everton though, and that would really make things interesting just for that last relegation spot. But I'd agree with you. Like, I don't think much more is going to change other than that. Leeds are definitely not going to get dragged into it, and it's going to be Burnley or Everton for that last spot.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, Leeds are definitely not going to get dragged into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. I mean, Dunk is just giving us a whole lot of exclusives. But don't worry, we have noted the timestamp on this episode. And if anything should actually happen, we will be releasing this to the wonderful fans of Leeds. Neil, is this just a case of, with Frank Lampard, let me just hold on, and then hopefully we stay up, and the next season we can start all over again. And please don't attack Dele Ali, because I know how you love that guy.
I was just looking at the team today when the lineup was made, and I looked at the midfield of Everton, and they've got Doucouré, Mason Holgate, and Iwobi, the centre of the park. Right, they're playing
Mhm.
three. They're playing Richarlison and Gray wide, so they've got a front three with Calvert-Lewin. Perfectly fine. Front three I would agree with. A Wobie in the centre of the park, right? So I'm not going to attack Delhi, but a Wobie in the centre of the park. He is your centre midfield. I don't know. I don't know what's happened. I don't know where I've woke up. If I've got no academy players, I don't know what has happened to get a Wobie in the centre of the park. So if
I
I
think
was
he's trying to
Delhi,
play hard working players that just keep running non-stop.
yeah, but did you see Iwobi give the ball away for that goal today? I mean, Iwobi has never been a top player anyway, but out wide, he's got that pace. And there's a chance, there's a threat that something might happen. He might fall over in the box and get a penalty. But I am not wanting him in the middle of the park to give me anything at all. So Everton are toothless when you look at that. I don't know how they managed to get Dele Alli in under the impression that he's not going to get a game. So give the boy credit. He's turning up and he's on the bench. He's on the bench at Everton with Iwobi in the centre of the park, right? What's he done wrong? So I'm going to say now to defend him and go, he can't get a game, but why can he not get a game in that team? He should be the first player in that team because of past performances, right? Past years, we would have all gone, Dele Alli, we want him in our team, right? He must still have a spark in him somewhere. There must be something. But to then be behind Iwobi, and I'm like, no, he's going to lose all his confidence again. So he's gone to a team to rebuild himself. Albeit, I said he was a championship player, and he will be in the championship next season as it's going to go. There's no doubt about it. And he can't get a game.
Well, who
So
knows?
it's
Maybe if
really
he's the championship
bizarre.
next season. Maybe if he's in the championship next season, his confidence will come back. Because
Pickford was
there's talk.
terrible.
There's talk already that they might want to get rid of him come this summer, and that's just less than how many months into his 2.5-year contract. But well, we shall see. I mean,
And Pickford today, I mean, that free kick, where was he? He might have been having a pasty in the shop, right? For where he was positioned. I don't understand the mentality of these players. Michael Keane getting sent off. I just look at it and go, what fundamentally the attitude and mentality is wrong in that team. They must be so low on confidence that I would be looking to get a sports scientist, a sports psychologist in, and I would be doing all of the stuff because these players they're not great. I wouldn't have Pickford if I was picking my World 11 or World
yeah.
300.
Well.
But
First of all, Pickford was in when Everton was actually playing some good football. He was there. He has always been some sort of, I don't know, at least consistent enough in the Everton team. So leave Pickford alone, man.
I'd have Begovic
He's
in. Begovic. Wouldn't you, Dunk? You'd have Begovic in,
stop
surely.
looking for
I
support.
know that
Dunk,
Duncan's going to put Begovic in his team, right? There's no doubt about
Doug,
it.
let me ask you this.
Ex Bournemouth.
Is Lampard blameless here?
Yes.
Oh no, totally not. No.
He's inherited
on,
the worst team since sliced bread. I mean,
He didn't inherit Dele Alli or Van der Beek. He brought them in. Is Van der Beek injured?
Team.
Yeah, exactly. He's picking the team. So he's brought these players in to save them and get them some stability in midfield and get some form, and then he's not even playing them. So, like, they can't be that bad in training.
This is only the first game that Van der Beek hasn't played though. So maybe he got injured or maybe something happened during international. So you're saying, Dunk, that Lampard is to blame?
He's partly to blame. I mean,
And Neil, you're saying he's not?
I mean, he's got a percentage in it, but it's not. He's inherited a shit team with a shit attitude, with really bad mentality in there, and I think that's the problem that they've got. Stop top to bottom. There's an issue. I point it back again to Rooney not going to the boyhood club that he loved. We've all seen the documentary on Prime about how much he loves them, and then he stayed at Derby. So there's something wrong. There's something toxic with that team, with the club, that needs to be changed. So yeah, you're right. He did sign Van der Beek and Dele Alli. I think Van der Beek was loaned, and I don't believe he actually paid a transfer fee for Dele Alli from when I look online. I think it was just add-ons to if they did anything decent. Unfortunately, they're not going to have to pay anything by the looks of it for him at any particular point. I'd love to know what real Evertonians think. They must be pissed off with the team.
That'd be a good shot. Maybe we'll try and get some of them on if you know any hanging around or any willing to talk. But let's see though. Let's see what happens to Everton, and let's see if they can
Even
actually
Lewin's not
start.
scoring, right? Calvert-Lewin's not scoring now
Well, no supply. He's there posing with Iwobi,
because he's
and
got a
good
Wobie.
stuff.
I think
But
the main kicker is like they're not where they are now with Benitez in charge. No way. They're not near the relegation zone. Even though the club's like got
I
serious
mean,
problems,
they
there's no way with Benitez in charge they're going to be in what is it 17th in the table.
yeah, but they went 13 games without winning one with him though.
Dip in form.
Like Delhi, right?
Well, it's good. I mean, the Premier League had some wonderful results this weekend. Wolves beating Aston Villa 2-1, which was good. And of course, Leeds drawing with Southampton and the return of Calvin Phillips. Looks like a brand new signing with a fresh new hamstring. So he's looking to go a few games to the end of the season. Is it that enough to stabilize Leeds? Dunk, that's your team. And do you think it'd be enough for Mr. Phillips himself to actually get back into the English team?
On the first point, I think they were starting to stabilise anyway, even without Phillips. So he just came on as a sub yesterday. But yeah, they're starting to stabilise. I think again, like when you talk about, we've talked about this for the new effect manager giving the place a bit of a lift. Like that has happened at Leeds. It didn't ever happen with Lampard. I think it's first game we said. It was even a cup game, I think it was. But Leeds have had the new manager bounce. They got their new system in place with a zonal marking, giving up the man marking. They're like looking way more solid defensively. Liam Cooper was back today as well. He's been missed for most of the season. So I think they're on that level where they're stable, and I can definitely see them picking up enough points to keep away from the relegation zone. So with Calvin Phillips, hopefully he's going to get back into some form and get himself into the England squad. We'll have to see on that one how Southgate's going to judge it with his double standards of who's in form or not. So,
Well, you see, I like Southgate he picks players that suit his system. I mean, a lot of people find that hard to understand, but he's as much as he talks about the only problem is sometimes when he talks about form, you're thinking, yeah, but if you're picking based on form, certain players should be in there. But I think he just picks players that suits his system. Neil, Jesse Marsh, the Leeds manager. If he keeps Leeds up, and they'll be up for another season. Will next season be a true test of him as a manager, or at least will this be an indication of what's to come?
Dirty Leeds, dirty Leeds. I can't believe we've got a Leeds United fan on here. It's disgusting. I just feel a bit sick at the moment as we're talking about them. They would have been fine with Bielsa. Did they need the change just to give him a bit of a boost? Yeah. But I was 100% convinced that Bielsa was still going to be fine there. If Duncan's convinced that Benitez was going to be in the better position with Everton, Bielsa was winning the league with Leeds. So I've got, there's a weird bar there. I think Calvin Phillips comes back in and improves any team. But just the fact that he's back and able to come in, it brings people back up, right? They're like, "Oh, Phillips is going to be back." We feel that we're more comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's like Pickford and goal. You feel comfortable that he's there to stop all those shots, and Maguire in defence. You feel comfortable that they're like stalwarts of the team. Phillips is just, I say it again, he's just a really, really, really good player that Leeds can't do without. There's certain players that teams can't do without
They've been
because
without him for some time,
Leeds
though.
are a really piss poor shitty club, right? They're like a real
Okay, no,
a
stop,
real
stop,
club.
stop. Take out
I'm a
your beef.
Wednesday fan, right?
Take
It's
out
fine.
your
I'm allowed to
beef.
say, but they're a tin pot club, right? You know that, and having a player like Phillips there, it's sort of different. If you have as a Wednesday fan, when you have a player of a caliber that's better than the rest of the players there, it makes a massive difference. Even if they're not playing, if they're just on that bench, the whole team comes up, and you have that feel good factor. And I don't think that the big clubs really appreciate that side of the real big teams. They don't have it because they have good replacements to come in. But you players like that you don't replace. I don't know what you
Well,
think, Dunk.
well, what do you think, Dunk? That's one. And then before you answer what you think, I mean, I know you've mentioned that Leeds will possibly not, they're definitely not going back into the battle. But Leeds plays Watford next. So that would be a nice one. And then Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Man City, Arsenal. You sure they're not going to come back into that fight?
Only by virtue of the other clubs below them not not catching up. Yeah, that's a pretty tough run. Yeah, so going with the Calvert Phillips, like I said that weeks ago when we were talking about Leeds, and like again, like you can't lose someone like Calvin Phillips and just bring in the next player down the line who's like nowhere near as good as him and get him to perform in that system and perform as well. So yeah, it's going to be huge having Calvin Phillips back. Yeah, that's a tough run in the games. So again, that Watford game's quite big now. You want to be, I would be really hoping and expecting a win in that Watford game. I mean, I guess a draw wouldn't be disastrous, but that's kind of the same with the Southampton game just gone. You'd have wanted a win, but we got the draw. You keep a bit of momentum going, keep the bottom three at bay. So I'm hoping to get the win over Watford.
As much as it's hard, a draw is as good as a win at the bottom if you're not losing against people around by you. If you lose against United, it's fine. But but if you lose against teams, and I mean like Newcastle United or Man United, like anyone above you that isn't really where you're at, it doesn't make so much of a difference. But when you lose against the teams that you're with, as long as you get the draw, you're going to be fine because they're above them. So they only have to match what everyone else is doing below them. So they're in a real good thing. I would have liked Leeds to have gone down so we could have played you next season, and it'd been a bit more fun, right? But
you're going up, are you? You're going up, are you?
Yes. Playoffs, but we're going up.
Keep hoping. Hopefully, you go up and up. I will see you back in the Premier League. Well, I'm not going to keep any fingers crossed or any part of my body crossed, but we shall see. We shall see. Big shout out to James Ward-Prowse, making the ordinary, scoring free kicks like he's a tap-in. The man is looking wonderful. Played for England as well on the international fixtures. So who knows? Maybe he's trying to see the place in the England first team. Even if Neil's like, no, he's not.
They had the stats up today as well. He's got 13 direct free kick goals, and he's only second to David Beckham in the Premier League now, who had 18.
He should. I mean, 2 more seasons, he'll probably beat that easily if he continues to play that way.
And then Beckham went away and still continued another nations, right? But
Did he?
Prowse, yeah.
Did he? Well, okay. So we're moving down.
Are we comparing Prowse to Beckham?
Only on free kicks.
Can we just bring him on for free kicks? I'm happy with that. I've got no issue with that. But the rest of the game, shit.
Come on, he's like, how can you say that?
I'm having Phillips in my team, and I don't even like Leeds, but I'm keeping Phillips in my team, and I'm keeping Prowse out.
We shall see. Well, we've come to that point, ladies and gentlemen. No, actually, we haven't come to that point. Let's talk about Liverpool and Man City. Routine wins, 2-0, 2-0 each. Look, I think Man City had a tougher game, but in terms of who they played, and Liverpool actually struggled against Watford. It's 8 more games to go between them. I'll ask again, and I'll probably ask next week, even if they win. Liverpool, Man City, Dunk, who are you going for?
Well, you're making me go all in, are you?
All in. You've been going all in since.
This was the one I wasn't going to go all in on. Okay, I'll go all in on Liverpool. Like I said, I can see across all fronts, I can see Liverpool taking the league, and Man City probably taking the Champions League. So yeah, you want me to come on? You want me to go all in? I'll go all in on Liverpool.
Yeah, you did. That's exactly what you said the last time I asked you that question. I'm just checking to see that maybe you might have changed your mind, but you're going all in on Liverpool. I so hope you're wrong. Actually, I wish something could happen and both teams don't even win. But Neil, who are you going for? Liverpool, Man City?
To win the league?
Yes.
At the end. I think City's still going to do it.
Well, you don't think Liverpool can go to City and win?
No. I mean, the thing is, Liverpool have to win, right? Man City, again, only have to match or better whatever goes on. So they're in the prime position still. So if Man City decide, I don't know if they'll ever be able to play just 10 men behind the ball, but why not? Take a draw on that game. You lose no ground on that particular point. Liverpool have to win, right? Unless Man City do have another. That game is going to be really important to Liverpool. So you go into that one with the knowledge of if we win or draw, we're fine. If Liverpool lose or draw, they're still behind. So I'd still rather be City. I think that Guardiola's probably a slightly better tactical manager than the two. Liverpool again, they've got some absolutely amazing lineup, and Diego Jota playing well. The new player, Luis, coming in and doing bits in his first season. Of like they make it seem like a miracle that anyone can cope with the culture in England of kicking the same ball he was kicking where he was before. Get with world class players, it must be really hard for him, right? It's not like he's came into the Leeds team and gone, "Oh, I won't want to pass to." The Man City for me. I think they'll just do it, and I hope they just do it. I
So
really hope that they just do it, because some of those fans that I know are just I just want to wind them up.
Just for these comments, I'll just remind you that Rafinha's just walked into the Brazil team, who are possibly potential World Cup winners. Sunshine.
That's really good news
for Leeds.
And then he's gone. Because if he does do well there, he's not at Leeds, right? You need him to be distinctively average for that club, at best, for Brazil. Sorry.
Well, we shall see. One more thing on Liverpool and Man City, and I've spoken about this, but then I had a different perspective to the question. So a lot of people, well, I definitely said, okay, I think tactically Pep Guardiola is better simply because he can change different things in a particular game and throughout the season. But is it a case that Klopp doesn't have to because his system is actually very difficult to beat? Is it a case that he doesn't have to do too many tactical changes because what he plays is what he plays, and that's actually giving him some success?
I think that they're different managers, and obviously they're different people. Pep is very meticulous, and I'm not saying that Klopp isn't, but for me, Pep's mind, Klopp's heart, right? So I'll look at the two and I'll think Pep's prepared for every single eventuality. He will do it, and then I think Klopp is kind of there, living it, breathing it in that particular game. He will have the plan to go out and always know that he'll outscore the other team. Almost, I want to say Keegan-esque, but with a lot more tactical nous than Kevin Keegan. But that mentality at Liverpool, right? Because out of the two, you'd probably say Liverpool are a bit, I want to say, a little bit more frail with their attacking wingers attacking fullback staying so far up the pitch. You know that you could get the ball over the top and score a goal. Man City a little bit better at that defensively. So from that point of view, I think they're slightly different. But my money would be with, I think, Man City from that perspective, that they can potentially do more, and they've got more players to bring in. So if they want to put five at the back and put 3 centre backs on, they can play that football easily because they've got the quality to do that. If you went to Liverpool and went 3 at the back, I don't really know what's going to go on. Who'd you change?
Yeah.
Like you don't take the front three out of Liverpool, do you? But Man City, you'd be like, I could take any of them off and put. Do you know? I don't know what you'd put. Bloody Kyle Walker up front or something, because
with Liverpool you
he
can't
would
now,
do it.
though. You can't now. Luis Diaz.
Yeah,
Jota,
but I mean, you would always
Mane.
put them in. Like Man City, he rests Sterling, and even Sterling's playing well, and he's like, I'll do what I need to do because that's what I want to do for that particular game. I think Klopp will play his best 3 every time.
Okay, Dunk.
Yeah, and part of the reason I'm saying Liverpool for the league is because I think Man City are just all in on the Champions League this season. And we were talking about before how Guardiola's kind of outplayed himself a couple of times when he played Chelsea before. So that's part of the reason. Like, I'm just going to have a punt at Liverpool for the title because I think they're just all in on the Champions League. And maybe they'll slip on the ball like on a couple of Premier League games. That's the kind of the reason I'm going for. But yeah, obviously, like we've said before, Man City have got a ridiculous squad, and they can just swap and change and do what they want. So Klopp's obviously going to be a bit more limited with his squad selections.
All right. Well, now we have come to that point for play and flop of the week. So I will let Dunk start. Dunk, who this week? Who happens to be in your league for player and flop of the week?
Oh, right. Flop of the week. I'm giving it to Frank Lampard. Like he's come in. He's had little to no effect. He brought in Dele Alli, Van der Beek. He's playing Iwobi in midfield. They're losing. They've got nothing going on for them at the minute. So Big Frank's going to get a flop of the week. Player of the week. Ooh, we go for player of the week. I think, again, I'll just give it to a team. I'm going to give it to Spurs. 5 wins out of 6, 5 different scorers today. We'll give it to Spurs for myself and say they're the team of the week.
Nice. Neil?
Yeah, unlike Dunk, I'm not going to, drop out of this one and give it to a team. I'm going to give it to Dele Alli for flop for not being able to get in that team and being kept out by a Wobie. Or Wobie was horrendous, but not being able to get into it, it's just another level of shitness. For player, I'm going to give it to Son. He looked dangerous. He passes well. He just a threat. He's that level of, I think, scaredness that Newcastle were up against today, of Son just looking on fire. I don't think there was anyone that was amazing this week. Like the whole Spurs team did play really well, but Newcastle were absolutely poor. West Ham Everton was just a drab affair of a game, and I don't think like the United game was much to watch either. So for me, Som still doing bits right. I still want him in my team. Whoever I've got in it, he's
Yeah,
doing
good
well.
luck getting him to Sheffield Wednesday. Good luck getting him to Sheffield
When he's
Wednesday.
43, maybe it'll pop across. Twilight of career.
You most likely will get him as a chairman or something. When he's like 90.
Is that the
Well,
same age as David Hurst? Is he still around?
Oh,
Shots fired, people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the episode. Once again, if you like what you saw, what you heard, please click on that notification. Follow us on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel. Click on that red notification and please subscribe. On that note, of course, Big D, are you actually going to end this episode by telling us whose jersey that is?
Go on, I'll tell you. So this is where I was born. So they skimped out on the badge. This is Aylesbury United, the mighty Ducks, who have slipped into non-league obscurity. But I did watch them at Loftus Road play QPR in the third round of the FA Cup. I think it was 95. So we've always got that.
If there happens to be any Aylesbury fans out there, man, keep believing, keep going, and one day you'll be back where you're supposed to be. Till then, try and put like a badge or a logo on your jersey or something. But till then, let's see. Well, thank you, boys. Big D, thank you very much for being with us in the studio. Neil, always a pleasure. Well, not really, because you keep attacking my boys. But hopefully see you guys soon. Till then, it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Neil.
goodbye.
And of course, bye-bye, Aylesbury's biggest fan.
See you later, guys.